My name is Emily, and I am here with Maya Murphy's attorney, Eva Marie Franco-Fox. Attorney Fox practices at Maya Murphy's office in Westport, Connecticut, and is admitted to practice law in both Connecticut and New York. My question today for Attorney Fox is, who can benefit from a prenuptial or postnuptial agreement? And how do I know if I need a prenup or a postnup?
So there are certainly individuals or groups of individuals who can benefit more than others by having a prenuptial or a postnuptial agreement. Certainly any individual who wishes to define or address what their property or financial rights are, either in the event of a divorce, in the event of the death of one of the parties to the marriage, or during the course of the marriage itself, can benefit from one of these agreements. In addition, any individual who has accumulated wealth or assets, or any individual who anticipates that they will accumulate all their assets, can also benefit from one of these agreements. That includes any individuals who are expecting to inherit while their assets could really benefit from one of these agreements, even if they have not yet received the inheritance. In addition, any individual who have children from a prior marriage who they wish to leave assets to at the time of their death can benefit from one of these agreements, and any individual who's financially responsible for third parties can benefit from these agreements. That includes people who help take care of elderly parents, or people who have perhaps a sibling with special needs that they help to take care of, can benefit from these agreements. It's important for people to know, at least in Connecticut, you cannot disinherit your spouse. What does that mean? It means that whether it's your first marriage, your second marriage, or your fifth marriage, you cannot disinherit your spouse. You cannot have a will that says you're leaving all of your assets to your children or your parents or anyone else, absent utilizing a waiver of estates rights in a prenuptial or postnuptial agreement. So this means even if you have a valid estate plan, your spouse at the time of your death can elect to opt into receiving or inheriting up to a certain portion of your estate. And this is commonly referred to as an elective share law. Connecticut has an elective share law, and several other states do as well. And so if you have a will that specifies that all of your assets will be going to someone other than your spouse, it's important to know that it's very likely that your last wishes may not be honored if your spouse elects to receive assets that are otherwise intended to go to your other loved ones. It's also important to know that if you pass away without a will in the state of Connecticut, your assets will be distributed directly to your spouse, even if you have children or other loved ones who are financially dependent on you. And so the best way to ensure that your other loved ones are cared for after your death, and to ensure that your estate plan is effectuated, is to enter into a prenuptial and postnuptial agreement. Now, the prenup or the postnup can dictate what property your spouse will or will not be entitled to, and can also include what's known as a waiver of estates rights, as I mentioned earlier. And this waiver has your spouse agree that they are not going to exercise their elective share right, meaning they're not going to essentially challenge your will and receive assets that you otherwise intended for other loved ones. Now, this doesn't mean that you are required to disinherit your spouse. It just means that your spouse is agreeing not to essentially interfere with your estate plan after your death. You can still voluntarily leave assets to them at the time of your death, whether or not you've promised them those assets in your prenup or your postnup. Additionally, other individuals who can benefit from a prenup or a postnup include business owners, particularly business owners who have business partners. Often corporate documents will say that you cannot leave your interest in a business entity to a loved one in your will. Often these business interests revert back to the company upon your death. So sometimes you may even be required to have a prenup or a postnup. And so it's important for individuals to understand what their corporate documents are and what they dictate, understand what they're required to do, and ensure that they're in compliance. And often that compliance would require a prenup or a postnup. Other individuals who can benefit from a prenup or a postnup include individuals who have certain assets or property that they need to ensure that they retain the rights to. For example, individuals who have created works of art and want to ensure that they retain the intellectual property rights to that art can benefit from these types of agreements. And also individuals who want to ensure that they are not going to be responsible for the financial obligations of their spouse, including any court-ordered financial obligations, can certainly benefit from a prenup or a postnup. And obviously, anyone who has a prenuptial agreement who wishes to amend that prenuptial agreement can benefit by having a postnuptial agreement executed. So it's important to consult with an attorney to find out if you are a candidate for one of these agreements and to understand how your prenup or your postnup may be required to work in tandem with your estate plan or any other corporate documents to any businesses that you may be a party to.